Today we are talking with the deputy party leader of the Jubilee Party, Jeremiah Kioni. Good morning.
Morning to you.
DP.
DP. Wow.
Imagine.
Yes, I like the DP before you put the L.
Okay, DPL. So that we don't...
No, even the DP is
even the DP
one.
works?
Yeah. It could be part of the chess game. That could be you playing your own chess game.
I'm just going with the title. It's good to see you.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming this morning.
Was it this year or last year?
You know, this year has been long. It feels like we have already been into 6 months.
It's good to say Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is good, definitely. So we're going to look into a couple of things with you this morning, of course, because we have questions.
I know you have questions.
Yeah. We're not quite sure what's going on. And we cannot run away from the politics of the day because essentially they will form and they will shape what it looks like into the future. Before we do that, as you know, we are in a different African country every week. This week we've been in South Africa and want to share today's proverb with you.
Where? South Africa. Zulu.
Exactly. So this is what the proverb says today. The day the monkey is destined to die, all the trees get slippery.
Yeah, when the die is cast, it's done.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it.
It's a done deal.
Whichever way you try it, it is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when you say, Kenyans are saying, if you go to every part of this country, you hear people saying 1 term more than 2 term. It is one of the ways of saying the die is cast and all trees are slippery. You go with Nyota, they tell you 1 term. You go with school bus, they tell you 1 term. You sell Safaricom, they tell you 1 term. So anything you do, Talanta Stadium, they tell you 1 term. That is when you now know all trees are slippery. Because it's done. One time, I think it's the late President Kibaki who was talking to, I think, the then Vice President Karaja. And, Karaja took over from him, those who can remember. Karaja took over from him and during Moi's time. And it came to a point where Karaja had to leave. And Kibaki told Karaja, the die is cast. Whatever you try and do, Moi is done with you.
Yeah.
So just panga uondoke. I think it's a similar scenario that is being described by the monkey and the trees in South Africa.
Yeah.
And the trees get slippery everywhere, not just in South Africa.
Not just in South Africa.
Yeah.
I love
Kenya
that.
Even more slippery this time.
If all the trees are slippery, the monkey's die is cast. I guess is what we're looking at. Okay, that's interesting because we've woken up to pictures, or at least we went to bed with pictures of, hands being shaken. And so, of course, the question is there another handshake in the offing? And that where do you fall in the middle of this? Former President Uhuru Kenyatta is saying now hello to Rigathi Gachagua. What happens to Fred Matiang'i? What does this actually mean? Or is it just two friends who met at a funeral and just decided to say hello? Do the optics mean more than what they look like? Let's start off there.
I think we will forget that the person who had passed away is the former senator of Kirinyaga. Senator Karava. And I have a history also with Senator Karava in the sense that when we were struggling for the party, Jubilee, and that's the time I was coming here as the SG.
Yes.
When we were struggling for the party, one of the individuals who never betrayed the party leader, never betrayed the party, never betrayed the cause, even when Uhuru was the president or running the affairs of this country, was Senator Karava. And I wouldn't want to move away from that fact, that the theme of the whole of that thing is, I have come to say Paula to the family of a friend who was dear to me, who never betrayed me, who never got swept by whatever upepo was there. And to me, it's more of a statement to the kind of leadership that we are looking up for or upon. And there is one word that we have to be very, very careful about when we are going into the future: betrayal. And I think I heard him talk about it severally. Betrayal is one of the things that is frowned at a lot by communities in Kenya. The community I come from, it is taken as a very serious thing. And we may have lost the thought of it sometimes when we had this post-election violence. We stopped focusing on people who are capable of betraying you as a voter, you as a community, you as a country, because we had a bigger issue in the House. And 2013, it was more of this post-election violence, ICC Maneno, and it continued almost defining the entire time Uhuru was in power until 2022, when now we needed to look again at what kind of leadership are you looking at after him. And again, he dictated this is the better direction, given my experience. And there was betrayal because people chose to say other different thing, and he talked about it yesterday.
Yeah.
And I think that is more of the chess game than anything else, because you can read whatever you want to read from it. I am attending the burial, and you're also attending the burial. Uko hapa, amjambo, poleni kwa familia.
And that's it?
Saying, I don't know, I'm just saying myself.
Okay.
And I was also going to attend the burial and didn't make it yesterday. I'll actually go and visit the widow. Because even when we were trying to pick, get ourselves back, and we were running around with Matiang'i. The last meeting I had with Senator Karaba was at a place called Mogoga. And he drove all the way from Kirinyaga to come to that church function. It's where we were with Dr. Fred Matiang'i. So he was very committed to the party, very loyal to the party, and always remained loyal to the party leader.
Okay.
No betrayal. And I think that is a statement that was being passed. There are many people who passed on. We've not been able to attend some of those burials. And our party leader will always said contributions, but he really made a point of being there also because he has said it before, and I know he has already said it. He has done it before. He's very keen on people who are guided by principles and stood with him.
Yeah.
And I think it is something that we, even today, needs to be careful in politics. Even as we continue managing the political affairs that we are managing on a day-to-day basis, and for the time that is going to be there, musimamo ni kitu ya maana. And remaining loyal. You see, I was also listening to something Ricky Nyaju was talking about yesterday. I think it was yesterday, about you somewhere. And he was saying, why we are where we are is because people who were elected into office, the first thing they did was to betray the cause of those who give them votes, or those who showed their trust in them. And when you have betrayed that cause, it's never the same again. So I think it is important that we think through, even as we are now looking at who do we want to pick as presidential candidates, or even our president eventually. The message was also there for them. You have to be faithful to what you've told people you are going to do for them. And it is important that you pay attention to what you are now saying. If you allow me to digress, but it is not digressing in a manner. But on Sunday, last Sunday, when we were in a church at Equita, Catholic Church, Ukopande and Nyandarua, the Father Suleiman said, Nyenye ambao mnatafuta kura, just look for 2 or 3 things you are confident you'll be able to deliver. Promise those ones. Don't promise us the whole world. Do more than the 3, you will be happy. But just promise us 3 and deliver on the 3. Then you'll never walk around feeling like you betrayed Kenyans.
Yeah.
And that's the same message that is all over. I think that to me is more of what I would want to see out of yesterday than mengine yote kila mtu aacho akisoma na akitafakari na akifikiria.
Well, you can't run away from the optics, Jeremiah, because they play a big role in politics of any nation and not just Kenya, especially because we're dealing with Rigathi Gachagua, who, for all intents and purposes, was at loggerheads with Uhuru Kenyatta, who is the chairman of the Jubilee Party. We can't run away from that. Now, if for some reason they are in the same room and have shaken hands, which we know, again, is a symbol of coming together, that has been used over and over in Kenya. Whether you're going to talk about the steps of Harambee House, whether you're going to talk about on the steps of State House, a handshake has been used to bring people together, not just to greet one another, to bring people together.
Even, when I got here, I greeted you.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
So you and I are not in a political party. But what we're saying here, you know what I mean, because the optics tell a story. What is the Jubilee position in all of this first? And then maybe that will give insight as to why this meeting, whether it was serendipitous or planned, then is important.
I think what the thing here is that, and this is the message from the United Opposition, it does not matter anymore where you are studying 2-3 years ago.
Okay.
What we are looking at is a regime that we believe that we should be able to replace. And if that is our shared position, then we must come together and deal with that issue. So the issue that is ahead of us unifies us more than anything else. But I wouldn't want to say that I don't want to get to try and interpret or put words in the optics of my party leader. No. Remember, he was the head of state, and wherever he goes, he cannot choose to greet you and not and leave the other one out. The only thing that you have done in the media is that you have put the photo of him and Gachagua at the front page. But he also greeted Mother. So why didn't you bring that one of Mother?
Mother and President Uhuru Kenyatta did not have a tiff.
He also greeted Matiang'i, I'm sure.
They didn't have a tiff.
That is the bit. But certainly, watu wakikutana wasalimiane na hawajaonana kwa muda, it's also a good thing. So it's a good thing. And I think he talks about it, hata yeye anasikiza crowd. Na kusikiza crowd ni kusema kwamba anasikiza watu wanasema nini. And Kenyans in the opposition are saying, be together. Help us deal with the regime that is in power. And that's where we are. And let me also say this. You see, as a people, we have said, I don't want to turn this into that kind of a scenario, but I said it, there's that song, unison of one term. The others who are saying 2 term. Yes. And once we are all saying 1 term, then it's also now a question. Kwa hivyo, kwa sababu tumekubaliana ni 1 term, na wale ambao wamekubaliana ni 2 term shauri yao. Sasa ni kusema kwa nini tunasema ni 1 term? Sababu tunaona leo gazeti imeandikwa corruption. And I tell you, any time in the history of this country when the US picks Kenya or picks you on corruption, that regime does not survive. So you can actually see even the international community joining hands with us in saying 1 term. But the question is that, what are you people going to do for us? That's where the issues are. Me, if I was Matiang'i, if I was Karonzo, even William, and William is already in that game, you can see he's trying to do all sorts of things to impress people. It's a question of, what am I telling people I would do if given an opportunity? Kwa sababu sasa watu wamekubaliana, nyinyi mtuonyeshe ni akina nani. And you see, I think the thing about the 2 individuals who are on the top of the nation here is that I know Rigathi is saying he's running, but I heard him like he was endorsing Kalonzo on this other side. So it's difficult to run and endorse somebody else. So I don't know. Eventually it will come out. But I see like you're looking at some individuals who are running, and yesterday all those individuals were in a region that does not have a presidential candidate. those are not easy times. As I was walking here, the thing that was in my mind is when you are with the community, this country of ours, we talk about things about you're in communities. When you're in a community that is not having a presidential candidate, how do you ensure that the votes come to you? Why Uhuru is a magnet is because anywhere he goes in this country, people want to hear him, they're happy to see him. So it's not good, it's not bad company if you are looking for the presidency. You didn't mind him spending more time with you than with the others. But again, I think it's the off-take you're not bringing out. He was there with all of them. So, ako na kila mtu. I mean, kwa hivyo nyinyi hii chess game unajaribu kucheza, kuna ingine mtajaribu kuwekelea kwa meza lakini hamtaikuta hapo. Kwa sababu mwishowe, if he's going to be part of this, I expect people to sit in a room and talk about this. But let me tell you, people, good people. I struggled to put the party together called Jubilee when it was being dismantled by those rebellious characters. And people were stealing it. We put a presidential candidate on the table called Fred Okengo Matiang'i. It's now upon him to ensure that he makes sense to those other. It's very easy to make sense to the Kisii community because he comes from there.
True.
But it is upon him to continue making sense to the Ruos, Luyas, Mijikendas, Kikuyus, Merus, Embus. And why this pact becomes an interesting one is that Uhuru there, coming from the mountain, people think that that bloc will listen to him.
And they might not.
I have no reason to think they won't.
Okay.
There's every reason for them to listen to him. In any case, they didn't listen to him last time.
Yes.
But I think you lose it if you think that he is just going to tell you where you go, what to enter now. You have to win their confidence. We mwenyewe, you have. That's why I think he's also saying, I don't want to say hata yeye anasikiza crowd.
I mean,
you come in. I don't know. That's to me, and I sympathize with now the people seeking for this seat. The fact that there is no presidential candidate, and I'm not saying that we don't have Rigathi, we don't have Matha, we don't have Muturi, but the front runners is Matiang'i, Kalonzo, and William. Those are the front runners. Ukweli. Bana niangalie kama ni mimi nimesema hata nyinyi hakuna ukisema hivyo. Hiyo whichever you look at it, ni hawa. Sasa waangalie na uone wamefikiria mambo ya hii group ambayo iko hapa with 7.378 million votes. And that block can swing this thing either way.
Okay.
So what is it that you have on the table for them?
I mean,
and what do you have for the table? And since you cannot have for every group, small group, you must have something. What is this that you have on the table that all Kenyans will be looking and saying, yes, I think here we can. I know we have the track record of individuals. I have talked about the track record of Fred, but Kalonzo has talked about his track record. William is trying to have a record. I don't think the track is there. But it is now coming to a point where it is beyond that. And you saw Steve, I think it was Jeff Koinange. He had a whole 1 or 2 hours. And now an opportunity to start saying, what is this that you can do for the people?
The people, yes.
That's the phase we are now getting into. And I can tell you, iko kibarua. Number 2, before you ask me a question. This is the other challenging thing, and I can tell you why it is necessary that even in Jubilee we made some changes. You who wants to run for the presidency of this country and you want to run it, I must see you and see the machinery that you have to ensure that votes in Vanga are cast in your favor. And you have the capacity to guard them. I talked about a Jubilee with a national face. Even now, in the opposition, I think it is a party that has presence everywhere. But it is a machine that must be, somebody must kick it. And you as a presidential candidate, well, kuna funguo. And then there is, and this is the thing about Gachagua and the others. You see, Ligi G, the political chess player, is building a political party. He's not running a presidential campaign. He is building a political party. But he's running other presidential. He's running the presidential candidates, which is very dangerous for me. I would be working to make sure that I have a presidential machinery, campaign machinery. But Rigi is not bothered with it. He's not, I think he's not, he has said it, and I am not discounting him. Lakini hao wengine wahakikisha kwamba iko machinery, kwa sababu hiyo machinery will also help us make that final decision as to who is it that we think can carry that ticket. Because I think that is where it is. And then, of course, who is it that has no history of betrayal from Karava's statement?
From what was said yesterday, and former President Uhuru Kenyatta said that Kenya needs leaders of integrity, leaders who stand with something with principles, that Kenya needs leaders who will unite them and not divide them. And those are very weighty words coming from the president, because he says, even at the time when we were getting to 2022, the person that he supported was a person that he looked to bring the country together. And as we look at the political space that we are in today, one asks the question then, how are we looking at getting into politics that would bring Kenyans together and not divide them together, because there are many who are hell-bent, like you say, Matiang'i. It's easy for him to convince Kisses because he comes from there, but he has to equally convince Kenyans from Mount Kenya. He has to convince Kenyans from the coast that he deserves that vote. Are we looking at a situation where even the unity that we see between Uhuru and Rigathi Gachagua as the uniting factor that will bring Kenyans together and say, we are casting this vote because these individuals are bringing us together on peace and people who will deliver? Are these conversations that perhaps even in the united oppositions, people must start having now?
It's, you see, from 2013, in fact, not from 2013, 2007. 2007, having worked with Kibaki, people think that Kibaki was very unhappy because Laira was kind of forced on him by the National Accord.
Right.
But if you ask me, Kibaki was more at ease 2007 and 2013 because he had this other block on board and they will sit and say, what do you want the country to do? And you could tell by the way he kept reprimanding those of us who are from his side. And any time we seem to throw harsh words on Raira's side, he was very harsh on us. Behind the doors, he was very harsh on us. And in fact, he made you look very stupid. And he kept asking, hii kichwa yako ni fitina tu, asubuhi fitina, saa sita fitina, saa nane fitina, utarara umesema umefanya nini? And then you'd say something, then na sasa hii umesema inakusaidia na nini? And the question that keeps ringing in my mind today, through which he asked us one time, is when we went, a team went there and we were led by one of our seniors then. Tukasema huyu amefanya, he's doing, and then he asked us, sasa wewe kwa sababu wewe ni mzuri sana na tunapenda wewe sana. Na ni kweli hata kazi unafanya mzuri sana. Sasa siwende huko usimame, ukuje tufanye na wewe, uchaguliwe huko ukuje tufanye na yeye. What he was telling us is, whatever you do, every corner of this country will bring in readers. And it is your responsibility to work with them. Otherwise you give up on this whole game. So he was really a comfortable person. I remember also what he told me when Marenda was picked as the speaker. And we had really worked hard to get a speaker from our end. I don't know who it is. I think we were pushing Imanyara or somebody, because PNU, ODM. And when I went over and said, what? Because you see, that time the president was also a member of parliament. He was representing Odaya. So I walked over to his the bench. They were better than what we have today, and said, "Hey, we've tried, but I think we'll work with it." He told me, "This is a good man." Those were his words. No. This is a good man. That's what Kibaki told me. Kwa flop. Immediately after, I was one of the cracks. Even it was announced, he said, "This is a good man." And Marade turned out to have been a fantastic speaker. He was able to unite the country. Whenever he thought this issue would become very divisive for no good reason, he would play around with it and leave it in his office. So what you are saying is, and I look at Uhuru now. Yeah. One of the reasons Uhuru kept telling us, and some of these things is good they be said so that the Gen Z people can also understand. Because after the killings of Rift Valley, between the Kikuyu community and the Kalenjin, let's talk about it openly. One of the reasons Uhuru went for William was to unite, remove that, because he said he would never ever want this kind of thing again. That was the driving thing. The numbers, yes, but that was the driving thing. So when he then went for Raila 2018, he said, "But we did this with you, brought these communities together. Why don't we also bring these blocks together?" So this issue of unity is not a new thing to some people's minds. Yes. But it is a very difficult thing for people who want to seek for leadership of a country and don't have the confidence of governing the whole country behind them. And I think this is where we got it. We are getting it. I think we are getting it wrong, because I see now we are organizing ourselves in groups. You remember we have had this debate here, where we were saying there's no way I'm going to allow to say that we are going to have a presidential candidate with a small political party in Kisii. We had that debate, and we are saying Matiang'i is a person being accepted from all corners of this country. And it will be very sad for any of them to finally now retreat to their corners. Because if you go back to Kisii, Kalonzo goes back to Ukabani. William is trying to do it all over the country. So what becomes of Mombasa? I mean, they start wondering, where do we belong in this game?
In this game.
What becomes of Kakamega? What becomes of all these other regions?
I have to ask,
I think this thing of unity needs to be seen beyond the unity of two people. It must be unity that is at that level, which was there before. Now we are looking at unity of small units. But again, maybe this is getting too far ahead of everybody in this game. But you see, going back and looking at where did we lose it? BBI was actually trying now to codify that kind of unity. Tell me how. Ask me how. Because
maybe I can ask you how. Allow me to combine it with this question, Jeremiah. Because one of the things that Uhuru Kenyatta said yesterday is that this unity that you speak of right now must be. He said the united opposition must be united. It must be united. Yeah. And there's a reason why he said that, because it's clear to him, as it is to many other people, that everybody seems to be working at cross purposes. However, was there ever a decision in the beginning that because I oppose the administration of the day, that I must then be united with other people who do as well? Is there this agreement that everybody who is outside looking to be in has unity of purpose? So when you say you must be united, people are wondering, but why? Because you're clearly saying the front runner is Fred Matiang'i. Somebody else is saying a front runner is Kalonzo Musyoka, but you're all in this supposed opposition. So is the direction at cross purposes with what your party chair then said yesterday?
But you see now, that's actually the thing. And if I don't know how far I can get from this table, but this is a bit. My party leader is here. You see, sisi tunataka kuona mmeugana.
Uko.
Yeah. Rukarukeni vile mnarukaruka, lakini tunataka kuona
mmeruka pamoja.
Because don't draw me into your...
But just come together.
Don't draw me into your corner. I'm not in your corner. I'm not in your corner. I'm not in your... Come together and tell us what you want. What we are saying is that the regime of the day is not serving Kenyans well. Tukisikiza wa Kenya. So come together and tell us how you are managing it, how you want to organize yourself to make sure that we have an alternative.
That thing that you've just said, come together now, because the regime of the day is not serving Kenyans.
Yes.
But Jeremiah, the people who are in this supposed opposition or wanting to be whatever, is that the unity of purpose? Is it for what is serving Kenyans, or is it people who want to remain relevant? So I can actually hear what Uhuru Kenyatta is saying.
Yes.
Because you guys have to come together on the things that are actually affecting Kenyans. But how many people in this thing are saying, you know what, this is my last opportunity to give it a shot. If I don't do it now, I'm not going to do it again.
I am not
but do
dealing,
Kenyans come into the game? In fact,
if you see, I've covered that photo, because that is now the thing. Kujeni pamoja, tell us, who is it that is, you think, can help us deal with this thing? Lakini, tunasikiza wananchi. So the mwananchi, and this is where I think, if I was in this game, this is me what I would do. I would pledge my full support to this united group.
Okay.
Which I do even now. But I would hit the road running. Kama Kioni. Kuambia wa Kenya, this is what I will do for you. Yes? Because the Kenyans will ultimately decide who among you is going to help us get an alternative. But they don't want to be betrayed by this thinking that it is my chance now. It is my chance now. It is my chance now. That betrayal is what they don't want on the table. Kwanza mkubaliane nyinyi wote, you want to achieve one thing. But then they're also saying, among you, there must be somebody who has a better idea than all of you. Ukipatiwa nafasi, usipoteze wale wengine. That is the other statement.
Yeah.
Usipoteze wale wengine. But it will also be foolhardy for us to agree on you, and Kenyans are looking at you for what they have seen you doing, or they have heard you do in the last 1.5 years, 4 years, whatever. Yeah. So it's not an easy game. But that's what now the HE is saying, former HE is saying, nyinyi mutuabie. Don't draw him in it. Yeah, he is in Jubilee years, lakiana, ako huko alisema, munaweza pitia pale Ichaweri, mumuulize, ama mnamsalimia. But nyinyi mujipange. You remember him saying, hata si kujua, nilikuwa nafikiri nitakuta madha tu hapa. Yes?
Yes.
So, but I think that the thing is, it leaves, if I was a presidential candidate, I would really be thinking very hard about this thing. Yet it is available for any of them. It's available for any one of them. Lakini, the guy who is doing this thing is Rigiji. But I am saying Rigiji is learning them because him is building a party.
Yeah.
But if you have a presidential campaign machinery, you can't fit in this arrangement. In the sense that you are running with it daily. I don't know whether you get, because a presidential machinery is much bigger than this united team. You are part of it, but your campaign machinery is bigger than this. But there is time, I believe, for them to do this.
You see, Jeremiah, one thing that has existed, now when you talk about even the betrayal that we talk about, there is the betrayal of political class betraying themselves. Yes. That is there. But the greatest and the worst betrayal that has happened in this country is Kenyans being betrayed despite giving individuals an opportunity to serve them. Why do I say that? Because When Kenyans wake up early in the morning to go give you that vote, is because they have bought your ideas, your ideologies, and they trust that with this vote, you will give me healthcare, you will end tribalism, you will bring development. But that is the greatest disservice that Kenyans have received for a very long time. So now, even as the HE is saying, nyinyi mjipange pale, right? Kenyans are watching and are saying, we do not want individuals who over and over again have let us down, have betrayed us. How is the united opposition and everyone in that class thinking about addressing that and winning Kenyans' hearts? Because today Kenyans are saying, we don't want political leaders. We want leaders who will not betray us.
And he said it himself. Don't look for politicians, look for leaders. And you see, the thing about wanting to be very near Uhuru when we are looking for this thing is why he's been given a measure of trust by Kenyans. And it's like Kenyans are also saying, wewe tunakuamini kwa sababu why XYZ. Na tunaona kama, why don't you indicate to us who among these people will not betray us? That's what they are saying. Why don't you indicate to us who among these people is not going to?
But who knows that? And I think that's the question that Kenyans are asking. That first of all, you have a number of people.
But you see
whichever way you try to slice it, Jeremiah, that there's a number of people who've been in this game for a long time.
Yes.
Ever since, really, even if they were, orphans of a previous system, where they want to look at the KANU days and then coming into when multipartyism was an issue, was a thing in Kenya, they've been around since then. So how do you know, again, for Kenyans, like Dennis is asking, who is this person who doesn't want to use the last bullet in the chamber to see if they can be relevant today, and the person who really holds Kenya's interests at heart? The question that you're asking, not who is going to betray each other between who is having a meeting with Jeremiah, but who is going not to betray Kenyans.
And I want to tell you see the issue, why is this betrayal word so tough? It is something.
Maybe it's because it's Easter
heart.
and Judas did something today. I don't know.
In fact, I came asking, why is it that we don't have kids in the baptized as Judas?
I asked the same question this week.
Now, you see, the betrayal is inside. Iko kwa roho. Nitakupatia uso, nitabata, I would smile to you, I would say, do all these kind of things. But betrayal is something that is normally people who've been very close to you, have listened to you, have heard you in boardrooms, have seen you, they can tell the potentiality of betrayal in you. And that's why they keep wanting, these people who have been around there, why can't he just indicate to us and tell us, go this side? Because people are scared of this betrayal. But this is something that informs where we are today. Unaona hii kitu ya Turko Kadi? For a whole more than a year, we have struggled with how can we get the young people interested in voting or in registering as voters. And when I kept having them in office, when I was sitting as the SG at Jubilee, I would ask them, kwa nini hamkwenda kuchukua kura? You know what they told me? Profound statement. Young person, I think 20-something, so 25, said, you are telling me to go and register as a voter, and I see that as a system. It's the same system that has oppressed my parents. You want me to submit myself to it. So I had to take a lot of time to tell them we don't have an alternative to IEBC thing. So what are they resisting? The system that oppressed their parents, and they don't want to come under the same system and be oppressed. The same system that gave them leaders who betrayed their parents, betrayed them when they were in school, and now you are telling them to come under the same system to be betrayed again. So this issue of betrayal is so key in what we are dealing today. It is the bottom line, I can tell you. Na watu wanaogopa hiyo. Ni ile tu na haujui ni nani atakusaliti. Because you are we put our trust in you to look at the resources we give you to ensure that you improve the medical, whatever services that we have, education and the rest. And then all of a sudden, you hit another line, and we have no way of bringing you back home until after 5 years. But if we had people who didn't betray the cause that they were elected to do by Kenyans, I was telling another group the other day, in our constitution, there is an inbuilt mechanism of dealing with that person. Midterm, like Rigiji was impeached. It actually tells you that we can even impeach the president. But the whole parliament betrayed the cause for Kenyans. So nobody has any hope. They cannot start an impeachment process. Today, you can even see all the way from the US, we are being told you are stealing money, left, right, and center. But our members of parliament betrayed us. We were in Azimio. The first meeting we had was to say, fine, we've lost the presidency. Whichever way. We have parliament. You are the majority on the floor. Learn the government from the floor. The first thing they did, led by Akina Junet, betrayal. So this issue of betrayal, I do not know how Kenyans will be able to say this guy is likely to remain faithful to what he promised. And the other one. But this is why I believe that then those who've been there have a higher currency than those who have not been there, because then you see we cannot be betrayed by... People now believe that Uhuru will not betray them. In fact, by the way, when we are having even changes within Jubilee, this same issue of betrayal came about. You could see a lot of social media. And he kept saying, I stand by what I say. And he's not a person who double speaks. That wins people's confidence. But I wanted to say something which I thought would help us with this aspect of betrayal. Not today. When we were talking about an expanded 2007, when Kibaki had Raila and 2 DPMs and the rest, you see there was a shared responsibility was shared among many. And that way, you bring more accountability to the table. Because I am representing a constituency, I'm not going to be betrayed by doing what you are telling us to do. You are representing another one, you say, I'm not going to betray mine by doing. So that shared responsibility helps to bring better accountability. So when I keep talking about BBI every time, it's because it now was trying to help us amend the constitution to ensure that that expanded structure is on board. Do you know if we had that expanded structure, we would not be struggling with this maneno of united opposition. We would not have wasted our time talking about united opposition. Individuals would have offered themselves now, because you are looking at the deputy prime minister, 2 positions, deputy president, maybe 2 positions, prime minister. You are looking at this team of 5, 6, 7, 8 people. Who are they? And that would have been the easier way of bringing Gen Z to run the country. It would have been much easier. But as it is now, we are still going to fall back to the same position of an individual who, I honestly can tell you, seeing all these individuals, it also scares me. Sasa huyu ni sawa ako sawa, anaweza kibia dunia hii, na padi ingine nani atasaidia. So you now start trusting him that he is going to make a good choice in bringing in a cabinet team and the rest. But anyway, it's a very difficult thing.
Has the political class considered the wild card that does exist at the moment? Because remember, when IEBC came with its enhanced voter registration, people didn't show up. But when the youth themselves came up and said, we will speak among ourselves, Nico Card is a movement today, and we see IEBC saying they're getting overwhelmed because of the numbers that they see on a daily basis. Now, you read that together with the 2024 demonstrations again, there's the very same young people who came out and said, this finance bill, hatuitaki, and we will tell you and show you how we run business. Now, you read the numbers there, and you look at those who did not turn out to vote, the voter apathy that you saw again, the young people, and they are speaking today. Is the united opposition where you belong looking at the wild card where perhaps maybe it is the young people who will determine who they will want to run as president?
There is a lot of talking about the youth, but I don't think we are really doing what we should do to... We are looking at the youth as a bloc that should pick on me. I don't know whether I'm looking at this block, trying to make it Truco card. You've seen some of us even trying to do this thing, which I'm trying to resist because every time you get into their space, the Gen Z retreat and move away. And then I think it's good to allow them.
They leave you with it.
Yeah, they leave you with it. If you think you know where you are going with it, we were going with it. Sasa Andrea and I wouldn't want to take the Tuko card thing from them. I would want them to run with it.
With it.
Yeah,
okay.
And I am asking protection. Wachaneni na ikitu. These guys, wacha wasukumane naye. They know, they wake up on a daily basis and they know how to deal with issues lead time. That is one. So the thing about, the unfortunate thing about our politics and our governance structure is that it doesn't quite open itself up to this youth badge in terms of them coming into leadership. It is like, channeling them to support a cause.
A cause, yeah.
And that's why I keep going back to that document called the BBI. BBI was opening the space. If we had passed it to 2022 or 2021, it would have been much easier for a Gen Z person now to get into power. Kwa sababu, they would have been able to bargain for a proper chair and say, we want the deputy prime minister's position, or we want the deputy president's position. Yes, because we are this kind of a constituency. It was a better way of but now we again gone back to the regions. Look at the opposition, the way we have done it. When we go to Ukabani, now we are in Ukabani. Everybody is talking. Karonzo is the one reading Ukabani because he comes from there. You go to Kisii, Matiang reads because he comes from there. You come to Mount Kenya, Gachagua reads because he comes from Mount Kenya. Sasa mwisho ya dunia hiyo ni gani? Hapana, wewe niambie, unajua hata mimi niko huko lakini wewe niambie mwisho ya hiyo dunia ni gani? When I was when I was running to put Jubilee together and all these things, honestly, to be honest with you, I didn't imagine that we were going to run this game that way. That was not my thinking at all. And I thought by now we would be in every corner of the country doing X, Y, Z. Na sasa kwa sababu another presidential candidate, I would rather we have now a presidential campaign machinery that does that from any of them. Then we can see all these regions represented in the campaign teams that you are doing. And we see activities in all those other places. But the youth team is certainly not a joke. They can run away with this thing very easily. And if the united opposition does not even, if among the united opposition there is nobody who captures the imagination of this group, they can easily spring a surprise. And I will not be surprised if the parents also follow. Because the parents have been betrayed more than their kids. Yeah. So I'll not be surprised if the parents also follow. I don't know what you see, ni vile tu saa zingine tunachezwa kwa sababu nafikiri hii kitu ya ODM pia hawa vijana wamechezwa. Having been in that game ya kutafuta chama for 3 years, I can tell you hapo wamechezwa kidogo.
So it's interesting because of everything that we've said so far. I mean, you started off by saying we don't know if it's a chess game, but everything that you've said, Jeremiah, is that folks are being very careful about which piece they move where because they're not sure about what the outcome will be. And then also, I'm pulling on something else that you said, whereby somebody said, Lee Kinyanjui, pick one thing or two things that you will do. So for me, would it make sense if we said, whereas everybody's playing chess, or in this case, poker, you don't know which card they've held to their chest, you don't know what they're going to do later, so it's very difficult for you to trust someone else and essentially be united. Can people be united on the fact that Kenyans are tired of going through a situation that doesn't serve them? And can it be that you can be united on saying, you know what, it cannot be me, it cannot be you, it's got to be the 55 million people who are saying that they need to live until tomorrow?
You saw that with Kibaki and Giru and Wamarwa. They refused to pick one among themselves. They remained together for 5 years at Serena, having a cup of tea. But they had campaigned for 10 years. From 1992, they were campaigning 1992, 97, and they were there now 2002. So it was a big team. They had done it for 10 years. And then they eventually said, wenyewe, we mzee, hii kitu inaonekana kama unajua vile Kenya inaweza endelea. So they didn't pick him because of anything else, but they picked him because of what. And Kenyans themselves also agreed quickly. Na wakasema huyo mzee tocha. That's the kind of scenario that we are hoping will come out of this united opposition. And that may answer your question, because then Kenyans will have been united, not just in terms of removing the current team in office, but also in terms of who is this who has ideas that will bring transformation to the country. And I think we have to continue encouraging them to remain together. But I also want to say, if I were among the presidential candidate today, and if there is any of them who would bother to listen, I would also be putting on the table a structure that expands the governance structure in this country, so that clearly, when you are in office, you are not going to kick out others. You are going to have others on board. That is important, because Wakenya pia hawataki watu watupwe.
Kabisa.
Hawataki weenda. Teka sawa, tumekubali wewe, lakini how are you accommodating these others? Those of us who come from this side of the mountain, we are also saying, sawa, tunawaona, tuko na kura 7 million shillings, but what is it that you are doing?
What is it going to translate to?
Yeah. What does it translate to us? What does it mean? And you can't ignore those questions if you are a presidential candidate.
Indeed.
You can't. And I am also saying, some from the region I come from, the defining thing for a leader is a person who doesn't betray.
A good place to end, especially now that we're looking at a betrayal that took place many, many years ago that perhaps, in this case, maybe it needed to happen to save people. Yeah. Jeremiah Kioni is the Deputy Party Leader of the Jubilee Party, has been here with us this morning. That insights can be gotten out of a conversation, I think, is what we aim for. Jeremiah, thank you. Until the next time.
Pierre, thank you so much.
Good morning, 9 a.m.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.